one was for you. The trailer traces You Wish You Were Red. I love this song. A perfect pop song by a perfect British pop band. I really love this tune. I love it because it's clear, because it's clean. You just give it a couple of beats, you just give it a couple of measures, and then you can read it like an open book. No secrets, no mysteries. It turns its guts upside down. Listen to the airy melodics of Ray Davies and the Kings. The synth bass even seems like Pete Townsend swirling his guitar in Baba O'Reilly, first track, side one of the album Who's Next, circa 1970-1971. Please, listen to the echoing, floppy harmonies of the Velvet Underground. One might think that even Nico is still singing up there. Now, jump ahead. Go 20 years later. Do you feel the showgazing? Do you copy the feet-backing tapestries of My Bloody Valentine and the eerie liquid vocals like a dripping honey of Jesus and the Mary Chains, Just Like Candy? One can even feel the flapping, slow-diving bass line in his guts. It sounds a bit like an Angelo Badalamenti score for a David Lynch movie. Julie Cruz might be moaning in the dark right now. Welcome to Twin Peaks. Welcome to the Lost Information Highway Overload. A collision of multiple possible worlds, a crash, an information overload synthesized just into one perfect song. One perfect song. A whole universe, a whole story unfold in 3 minutes and 53 seconds. Now, let's all imagine this song is a dish. How can it be as transparent as this song? How can it be as readable, as catchy, as immediate as only a catchy song can be? How can it tell its multiple stories? How can it digress at ease without losing its narrative drive? Who knows? Call it the mysteries of creation. Never to forget, behind the mysteries always lay the memories. Even if it seems to me that one thing our time is definitely losing is our remembering of things of time past. Our memories are vanishing, gone from the stove and from the libraries, and twice a day, gone from the restaurants. We seem to live with that. We seem to do like nothing had ever happened. Things go fast, they get accelerating, they break the frontier of sound. We rush into the future, and we believe the future is in front of us, forgetting what the Chinese wise guys always said: future doesn't stretch in front of us, it comes instead from behind us, from behind our backs, like clouds, like fog falling down. In a world without memory, yesterday's heroes are today's unknown soldiers. We erase day by day whole bands of collective memories. We believe our agenda to be a blank book with pages to be scribbled. Of course we like the speed. Of course we like the kick of the adrenaline. Speed. In a kitchen, like in our daily life, we get high on that. But when we run too fast, nothing really moves. Nothing really changes around us. We might not even notice what has happened to us. I do not remember who I was when I started writing this story. It's just a blink of an eye. Take the French. They thought their future was their past. already set once and for all in front of them. Where are they now? Nearly as extinct as the Aztecs, just left us their pyramids as a gift. Memory serves, memory sleeps, memory lapses. Talking about this, I don't remember when I last tasted the bears, or with maybe in English, it's a wild herbs from the Alps. Last time, it was for sure at Marc Verrat, many years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I loved these leaves. They were very bitter, intense, with a clear insight of agrumes. They disappeared from my plate, they disappeared from my palate, from the kitchen for years. Then, last December, I found it back, far from the Alps, where the bears usually grows. It was in the middle of Paris, and there it was, at David Toutan's restaurant, in this place run by a young pupil of the old master, Marc Verrat. There she was again, La Berce, like a newborn girl. Nobody, none of the clients, none of the food critics seemed to have recognized her, but everybody loved her. Like a virgin, La Berce, a new Madonna. It took 5 or 6 or 7 years to completely disappear and to reblossom again, like a cycle. Some called it a miracle, like it had never existed before. Continents glide, all regions of memories disappear from our atlas. Talking about Disparasidos, talking about Verrat. By the way, how long did it take from the closing down of his restaurant at the zenith of his fame in Megève in Nancy to completely slip away from all the records, to be almost forgotten by all? And now Marc Verrat is ready to come back from the past, our recent past, like a ghost. Memory fails. As I said, yesterday's heroes are today's TV stars. One wonders when Marco Pierre-Wild stopped being a chef. He was the chef who, before René, before Andoni, before David Chang, before Granta Katz, before Alexandra, he was the chef who started the whole thing. The chef who stood by the idea that being a chef doesn't mean just being a cook. Marco Pierre-Wild was the first one who opened the doors of his restaurant, who took society by the storm, who occupied the front pages, the first media darling. The guy 10 years in advance on Creative Commons, on Gorillas and on Jolinas, he was the guy who stole his mentor's recipes and made them his own, improving a fixed repertoire of French classics that were meant never to be improved. He was a punk rocker who never turned into a new waver. Marco Pierre-Wild might vote for the Tories now. He might do the Knorr Cube ad, but without him, no modern British, no Gordon Ramsay, no Aston Blumenthal, no Tom Atkins, no Marcus Waring, no Fergus Ferguson, no Trevor, no Claude Bosi, no Jason Atherton, no Brett Graham, no Michael Johnson, no Nuno Mendes, and not even the Young Turks. And probably no Chevalier Inaki Aizpitarte either. And I know that in the bleakest hours of the night, Dave Chang, our Chang-san, asks himself, where can I find a cook with such guts, such passion as Marco Pierre-Wild in his old days? I wouldn't be here myself had I not stumbled in December 1989 in Marco Pierre-Wild, the man who changed my life, and was the man who incidentally pushing me doing what I keep doing, the only thing that I know to do, telling and writing true stories. It looks a little bit like an old Frank Capra's movie, It's a Beautiful Lie. So, let's ask ourselves, what if Marco Pierre-Wild had never existed? We will all be here today. What if Ferran Adrià had not one day taken over the small country restaurant on top of Rosas. We will all be here today. Where will René Redzepi be? And Massimo Bottura, and myself too, had I not been eaten on a 1994 dinner, my first one at El Bulli, by the strangest menu ever, by its textures, its crispy, floppy quail eggs. I remember the dinner that was exactly like entering into Blue Velvet. That was almost 20 years ago. Now Ferran, like Vera, has closed his premises and getting ready, like Vera, to come back with their foundations. You can't stay away too long. You might risk to miss your train. And there's always a new train leaving. Now, please, imagine this story. Imagine a young chef who left Europe, let's say, 10 years ago, when Ferran and Marc were at their highest in their initial careers. He might have gone at the other end of the world, leaving the old one to its techniques, its poetics, its rooted memories. He might have come back a few years later, 3, 4, 5, not much more, and find the whole world completely changed. Despite the net, despite the tweets, despite Ether.com and all the blogs, he would find himself in a completely changed world. The old idols are gone, but not back again yet. He might have missed the social changes, he might have missed the euro price, he might have missed a lot of things too. Let's say, the end of the hegemony of the techniques in the kitchens. He might have missed the extinction of French colonialism, and also the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spanish cuisine from Mars. The Italians always are the starting block and always beaten 4-0. Then, of course, he might have missed the latest establishment, the Nordic cuisine big boom. This young cook might also have missed a change of status of the chef. Not just a cook, not just an author, an interpreter of his country, of his land, and the raw materials. But also a cook as a moral figure, a social promoter, a vector for social change. Think of Bottura, think of René, of Gaston Acuriu, and many other smart guys. A chef enters in the political auditorium, goes to symposiums like this, and there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight on his shoulders. There's a lot of responsibilities just for one shoulder. But I like the idea of responsibility, because it whips our appetite for knowledge. It feeds the memory, and without memory, there's no lasting appetite. I have called this talk Cosmopolis Redux, because in its way it's a kind of tribute to a much celebrated book, also recently made into a major motion picture. In his novel, Cosmopolis, the author, Don DeLillo, imagines the strange day of a trader trying to reach the other end of New York for a haircut. Stuck in a gigantic traffic jams, he spends all his day, from morning to night, blocked inside his car, while outside the whole world goes amok. DeLillo's writing is dry, abstract, conceptual, and still has a sort of narrative drive. And it is very interesting that this young trader, a young wolf, a master of Wall Street, a master of the world, has inside the car all the technology to control it. Computers, simulation screens, TVs connected to Dow Jones, but it is too late. 9/11, has kind of happened. There are riots in the streets, the world is falling apart, and technology doesn't help anymore to control the situation. Technology doesn't help to control the information. The apocalypse is coming, and it's a great spectacle, the ultimate show that he can enjoy through the windows of his car. He stays put, and the outside world flows by like a vision. And it is a beautiful vision indeed. He is stuck in his car, and the world outside flows by like in a slow motion. I am not opposing slow and fast. I love fast food. Yes, I do. I love fast culture, pulp culture, B and Z movies, and like Massimo Bottura, horror movies too. So if you think that I'm lobbying for the slow food post, you can shoot me now, right now on this ground. But in a time like ours, when speed is the only dog, when everything we do is permutated around the world at once, when we don't even have the slightest bit of time to think about before we press the button, maybe it's nice here and there to slow down for a while, to relax on the terrace and watch our Titanic sinking down. Sink down in the leather chair of your car and enjoy the sight through the window. Watch the future coming at you from behind your back. Fine dining restaurants are dying slowly. Newspapers are closing. Guys are left with no readers. Food critics are on the dole. And that's just right. Fuck the food critics. Social networks are taking over. And we have never been more social, and nobody has ever been more alone. It's a good time to take a seat for the last picture show. But if we don't want to be just spectators, we need to change our stance, our point of view. We should cook like we think. We should do something like sustainable cooking, as much as we should do sustainable thinking. Let's cook. Let's think with guts and with soul. We should take a step back and watch ourselves from a little distance and just let it go for a while, and doing what we do thinking why we do it. We shouldn't just think about ourselves. We shouldn't just seize the instant, this present that wants us to speed up all the time and to react only to it. We should cook. We should do everything we do thinking about legacy. How we should leave something to others, something that could be meaningful, something that could be useful, something to be used by generations still to come, something that could have a magnetic power, a symbolic strength, something that goes beyond the contingencies of the present, something that ignores the hegemony of the present. Here is an example. We all do menus that follow the seasons. We all cook seasonal, and that's more than fine. Living with its time, listening to the sound of the veggies growing on the ground, questioning their nature through pots and pans, living a snapshot of what we think they are and what we think we are. But let's be in the present with a foot in the future. Let's conceive something, not just for the here and now, but also for the years, the decades to come. Something that doesn't just need to breathe the air of the present, that doesn't want to fit just with the present, but wants to dream the shape of things to come. Something that might be meaningful now, but even more meaningful in decades to come. Let's imagine, for example, we are Charlton Heston discovering the Statue of Liberty at the end of the planet of the apes. And that changes everything, don't you think? We ask a book to open up for us the doors of another perception. We ask a movie to let us enter into another dimension. Isn't that what we aspire to when we go to a restaurant? To nourish also our mind, to experience kind of another space and time, to build up thoughts that would nourish a collective memory and whip up our appetite. Let's ferment our thoughts for the future, like the boys from the Nordic Food Lab, they ferment their beans and see how they react, how the future interact. And what if? What if being avant-garde was not simply being ahead of its time, but finding a space beyond time? Acting, cooking, thinking, not just for the present, but already in another time. A book that could be read, that could reveal its meanderings, that could be meaningful 15 years from now. A dish that could tell us, in decades still to come, how we were, what we thought, what we've been fighting for and longing for. We need kind of disappear and already be there. We need to escape, to say goodbye to the constraints of time. Goodbye to the personal egos, goodbye to the easy daily routines. We need to say goodbye to what is just meaningful for today, for the present time. Picture this. 20 or 20-something years ago, a bunch of searchers, of scientists, of architects, of thinkers, a group of philosophers, of artists and musicians, Brian Eno was among them. This group has started a fantastic project. It is based in San Francisco. This think tank has started working on the project of a very slow clock. A clock whose mechanism would move, would click every 20 years, every 50 years or so. A clock that would ring every 100 years. Think of a big band that would only salute every new century. Think of a big band, a symbolic big band, but already under construction, that could be found still working and clicking in a time when we will be already gone. It's a symbol, of course, this physical symbol that the survivors of the nuclear war would find and read as a legacy of what we were, of what we aspired, of what we hoped, what we've been fighting for the better world. A symbol to lead us, to help us to adopt another form of thinking. A mechanism, this clock, that would encourage a long vision, a vision opened to the future, as opposed to a short vision, the vision of just the present day. These guys, they call it the clock of the long now, and their association is called the Long Now Foundation. Please log on www.longnow.org and find out its goal: to rethink time and responsibility, to think in a long term instinctively, to think how to better understand the necessity of the long-term responsibility, to define a wider operation scope for the notion of responsibility. When you don't think short-term, when you don't cook short-term, when you don't cook just for yourself, when you don't cook just for your present ego, you don't cook just for the present day. You think you cook for generations to come. You cook for a future community. You cook, say, for your sons, for your daughters, and your sons' sons. You mean to do something still meaningful in generations to come. The long now is an educational frame of mind to experience, to imagine a time past our present time. The long now, just the sound, the way it resounds, it evokes another space and time. Now, it's just daily service. The deadline to respect if you are a reporter, the book to finish, the immediate needs, the kids to take care, the immediate selfish desire. The long now, it extends itself into time, a space where past and future meet, where the past becomes the future, and future fully acknowledges all his appetite for memory. I want my appetite back, meaning I want my memory back. Once in a while, I do my ritual coming out. Last January, during a food event, I did my 2012 coming out and said out proudly and loudly, I love Daniel Patterson. He's the only guy, for example, who can cook with the same form of poetry, of elliptical poetry, as, say, Gus Van Sant shoots a movie, let's say, Restless. If you do your coming out once, you can do it twice. Here is another true story, just for you. Since my early teens, when Patti Smith was wishing to sound like a real fucking rock and roll nigger, me, I was just a kid who wished to be a Jew. That was my dream, to be a Jew like Kafka, a Jew like Hannah Arendt, like Susan Sontag, like Saul Bellow, and all the young Roman Polanski, a Jew like Philip Roth or Darren Aronofsky. I love the Jews because they certainly know a lot about legacy. They know a lot about memory, about heritage, about legacy. In their own way, they truly believe the future lies somewhere in their past. Their culture might be geographically determined, but still in an uncharted territories. They naturally know how to separate what is relevant and what is not, what might be useful just for today and what is for later, for noble purposes, useful for the whole community. When they play, when they speak, when the Jews speak at the first single person, in their words, in their music, in their writings, there's always the shape of a plurality, of a community, of a collective community. They certainly know how to mourn, how to long for what is lost. They know how to depart, how to turn their back to the gimmicky mermaids of the present. They know how to say goodbye. And we too should say goodbye and move forward, move somewhere else. We should all say goodbye to present time and invent altogether a new one. Here is today's last tip for you. I want to introduce you to my new favorite Jewish band. They might sound a little bit Mormonish, but they truly come from Israel. They are called, it's a duo, but they are called Winter Family, and this song is like a mantra, like a Jewish mantra, if that can exist. A mantra that can teach us how to say goodbye, to tell in a 4 minutes long goodbye the whole story of our past and of our future lives. Let's say a 4 minutes mantra for the long now. We finally try to learn how to say goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, at least here it is mine. Goodbye.